But we still have them if you'd like to.
No, bring them out. Let's put them on camera. We can show them sort of.
Can I get you one of these?
If you'd like to.
Nerf me?
No, the Ghost Cartel. I don't know if you've seen it, but I've posted videos of it.
I don't know. That's cool.
I just figure, if you want to do your yard in it or paint your house in it, it's all good.
Bring one. We'll put it on camera.
Seconds.
We'll put it on camera. We'll just sort of like tilt it a little bit.
Well,
Alright.
your Twitter online. Your Twitter, right? You have a Twitter account, right?
I do. I think
Yeah,
it's CRobert68, which is pretty much my account.
I can put your Twitter on at the bottom of it, like whatever. I don't know what your handle is.
They'll nerf me.
Well, Nerfy's Matt. That's my handle on Twitter. Nerfy Gaming or whatever. But
Thank you, sir.
All right. Okay, let's put it on the
There
table.
are several cases of energy drinks of many different flavors in there for you guys. Red Bull, Rockstar, Monster Kona Coffee, another Monster Coffee.
They're mixing Monster with
if
coffee
you're,
now.
if you're gonna be up for 24 hours, you need energy drinks.
There's also plenty of beer in there. You also
Yeah.
help
You
yourself.
can always mix.
All right. Or you could just do some crack cocaine. Either one of the two.
First, this one's for you. This is from my collection at home. It might bring back some memories for you.
Wow, White Dwarf. Wow, that's awesome.
Oh, wow.
White dwarf, good lord.
I do, not off the top of my
I'll
head.
put the
I
old
have to
Traveler.
measure
I know,
it.
Traveler was like actually one of
Measurements, that's what it is.
We both
my...
talked about that. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's kind of
yeah.
the starting point for a lot of this stuff. Was Traveler.
It's
Oh,
the
definitely.
side
It was
tech
definitely a starting point
It's like the
for
side tech.
stuff I did. Definitely, I know Elite was influenced by
Now
Traveler a lot
Moscow.
too. It's totally cool.
It's a decent size.
Awesome, that's brilliant. Take that. And so what do we got? We've got t-shirts.
Yeah. I believe this tiny one up front would be for Sandy.
Thank you.
Well, ain't problema.
There we go.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's definitely not going to fit me.
I'll send it to Eric as a congratulations when he
so
finishes
you
his
go
goal.
forward to the...
My fiance Lynn, she had taken your logo and did a little extra to it.
See, okay, here we go.
It's nice.
That lag.
Can we someone put it in so I can see where I am on the...
Yes. That
Just
is
click on
fantastic.
You got the mouse over there? Yep.
Now there's a word at the bottom, which is a little hard to read, kind of on purpose.
Henyo.
Henyo. Ask Sandy what henyo means in Tagalog.
And you.
Alright, so here's the front.
Like
Oh, that's
Front of the
cool.
stuff in the search.
It means,
wacky.
it means genius.
Our t-shirt.
Oh, or that.
Henyo means genius.
those are pretty sick.
So only someone speaking Tagalog would actually know what the henyo part means.
Oh, Chris, that looks like it'll fit you perfectly.
Yeah, it'll fit me.
It's just the right size.
I'm not, we just did it together.
Yeah, I'll show you.
Little midriff, yeah. I can wear it as a
T-shirts,
bib.
So she made them up. But she ran out of time and we had to send her to somebody else to press them and they came out not the way we wanted, so.
Awesome.
Yeah, pretty kind of pissed off, but
Pretty
Look
good.
at it.
that's me.
It's a party! It's happening!
Brilliant. Alright.
Enjoy.
Alright, where's my
Fantastic.
where's my itty bitty one?
Here's your itty bitty one.
Alright. It's perfect.
Out of curiosity, this is someone's asking, Moose was asking, will there be space weather events, say for example, asteroid clouds moving through trade lanes?
Is that
Or solar flares? What about solar flares that mess with your instruments?
It's just like I know that the Crisis Engine has like a weather system. Just curious, like.
Well, we're definitely going to on the planets be using a lot of their like weather environment stuff. So you know the rain, the snow, all that. It's the system's really kind of cool for it.
Perfect.
But we're definitely going to we're going to do a lot of environment stuff in
Mhm.
space. So I can't necessarily
Got him?
say okay there'll be a
Yeah.
cloud system moving an asteroid. There's definitely going to
Welcome.
be like we're looking at doing some
Right.
nebulas, some nebula stuff with fluid dynamics and stuff where it's like a little more sophisticated than what's been done before.
Right.
And generally try and have some level of terrain in space, which was kind of one of the goals with Freelancer a long time ago. That was kind of one of the big design points was to actually make space like full of stuff, which
Yeah.
is different than the old Wing Commanders. I think it was for the time pretty cool for that. So we're definitely going to be doing that kind of stuff and pushing it.
We noticed some of that stuff in the Nebula code when we were clawing through everything, that there's a little bit of room for reducing sensor efficacy, and it looked like there's some architecture in there for damaging shields overall and such.
Oh no, in Freelancer definitely.
In
Yeah,
Freelancer, yeah, it just wasn't quite switched
Wow.
on like some things.
The problem with Freelancer was, I mean, it's still a good game, but
It
it
is.
wasn't.
Some of us have played it for many, many, many years.
It wasn't the full game that was designed, and there was a lot of functionality and features that were basically essentially nerfed by Microsoft later in the process. Which and because at that time I'd kind of burned out on the whole like dealing with the big corporation, whatever, and I left.
Let's
I
pull this
in the
in
past,
a little
I was-
bit because
I
it
was-
looks like what's happening is someone's complaining about in the chat, like when the typing is happening, it's kind of shaking this a little bit. It might be hearing like the reverberations inside this. Yeah, not sure. Just,
Oh yeah, that
We'll see
wasn't
if that-
even remotely a critique on
So,
Freelancer.
no,
that
but I have
fixes
my own
it.
critique about it. It's like it's
That's
not
okay.
it's not the full vision that was designed, because at some point Microsoft's just like, let's get this thing out, and some of the stuff was simplified.
I think one of our favorite moments of the discovery mode was flipping on the neutron star when we found the code for the graphic animation. There's like the polarized lights and the shock
Right.
waves and stuff coming through. That was a pretty cool moment. We found that, and they were like, "Man, what was going on here that caused this not to be implemented? Because this is rad."
I couldn't. The last 2 years of the development, that you'd have to ask like Paul Isaac, who was the lead programmer, and probably Phil Wattenberger. But yes, no, there was a lot more function. There was a lot more, like a lot of environmental stuff, a lot of things like the certain nebula were going to damage you, shield rate, all that was all part of the design. So we're definitely having all that in this and then some. So part of Star Citizen is to sort of finish off some of the stuff that I wanted to do in Freelancer and either couldn't do because of technology, or it didn't end up doing because of not finishing the project off.
External.
Yeah. No, it was just I got burned out. I got burned out with dealing with. I mean, it was also when the time they wanted to buy the company, they wanted to focus on Xbox stuff, and it was whatever. It was like almost five years at that point, and I was just like, can't take this anymore. I don't want to be fighting with like corporate battles and basically managing that level of relationship, because that's what happens when you become part of a big company. You basically have to spend all your time like managing up and fighting for resources for your group and making sure you're going to. So you basically spend a lot of time doing nothing that has nothing to do with games, which is why what we're doing right now is awesome, because I don't spend any energy other than making a game or telling people about the game. So both things I like to do.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hey Chris, is there going to be a limit on how many guys you can hire, like NPC hires?
Well, there's definitely going to be a limit. But we haven't determined exactly like how big that limit is. But it's sort of, you have to put some level of limit on it, because otherwise there's problems when you get into space combat and someone
Wait,
shows up with
you have
that.
like one dude spend like 10 grand and be like, all right, I got 30 or 40 constellations, all manned the hill with the highest skilled, highest paid dudes, and then boom. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Although NPCs aren't going to be as good as real players, but yeah, we there's a certain level where we're not really going to be able to hire too many people, because we have to reserve slots in any of the instances for other players.
Some of my
People are
guys
in
are
opposition. So yeah, so like I'm not going to say like, just imagine there's 60 slots, right, in an instance. We always reserve slots for friends of people. So if you were going to show up on a mission, like you would be limited to how many people you could bring with you based on your sort of friend slots. And so at that point, if you show up with all those people and then you get attacked and you do a distress call and you've used all your slots up with people you brought as NPCs, people won't be able to come to your rescue in an instance. Because like every instance, we reserve slots for everyone in the slot, so they can have a friend arrive and help them out if they're close by.
That's a perfect way to fix like the quote unquote pay to win issue. I know a bunch of my buddies in our group were asking about like, well, if you can buy credits, why can't you just buy like so many hired NPCs, the best NPCs?
Yeah, well, you won't be able to buy that. Well, you won't be able to buy that. You won't be able to buy. First of all, we'll limit the amount of credits, but you won't be able to hire like a huge amount of people.
Yeah,
and a huge
that's
amount
what I
of ships.
figured.
And if you do, you're taking slots up from like other players. So like I will be willing to bet your buddies playing the game are better than any NPC will be playing the game. So you probably don't want them. You don't want to either you hire an NPC or you have a friend. They're going to both take up the same slot. So it's kind of up to you what you want to spend your resources on in that situation. You're never going to have enough slots where you can basically overwhelm any instance.
That's good. Now, there's even some people who are speculating that they could pick up a Starfarer, hire an NPC to pilot, and have it run the infamous yogurt whiskey run or whatever it is they would have them doing on a trade. Like,
Well, no, you you will definitely be able to, if you want to basically do that, do resource management and not really like get out there and fly. You could hire other players to fly for you, or you could hire an NPC to fly for you.
But I mean, on terms of a scale that just continues to balloon and balloon and balloon over
Well,
time.
you mean like they're flying 1,000?
Eventually, right? He has he just keeps getting more money, buys another starfare, buys another NPC, and that just
Well,
keeps
the way I view that is, it's like the real world. It's like, some people will get to the top, but there will be lots of external pressures on success in that case.
Will there be rankings as far as like?
Which including would be maybe the UE changes some landing tariffs and stuff like that.
Or you log in and find that a couple of your starfares got nuked by NPCs that blew up the NPCs, and
all that stuff will definitely happen. I mean, you'll be able to hire other players to fly for you or hire NPCs, and we're gonna implement this. I don't know anyone, LA, but anyone here use Uber?
Uber?
Uber.
Uber like Lyft on Facebook.
Uber. So basically, Uber is this thing on the iPhone where you can call up a car, like as a black car, a limo normally.
Yes.
And but Uber. It's just basically they don't have any cars, but everyone puts it on their iPhone like the drivers do.
Oh, it's ride sharing.
It's not so much ride sharing. It's like basically limo drivers out there. They put it in their limo, and I go and I say, I want a car, and it knows where I am by my iPhone. And it broadcasts to all the drivers that have the thing. And drivers go, oh, okay, I'll take him. And the thing is, they know where I am because they can see where I am on their GPS, and I can see where they are. Not only that, because you're already in the system, it knows like how good of a customer you are, because after you finish a ride, you rate them and they rate you from 0 to 5 stars. And so like basically when someone comes up and that guy's a 4.5 star person, I'll definitely pick him up. So the only reason I'm bringing this up is because it's a self-balancing system. It works really well because both sides get rated. In the game, we're going to run that, so you can hire real people, and of course they'll have ratings. So like I've hired you to be a mercenary for me, and you do a great job, then I give you 5 stars. If you're a mercenary for me, and then you run at the first sign of combat, or you get your ass shot up, I'm like, that guy's shit, I'm going to get 1 star. And basically then I think the prices that people can charge will be aggregated based on that. You're like, okay, well, I'm getting, this guy's, it's like Yelp reviews or something. That one's rated 5 stars. It's worth paying a little extra cash for him to be on my wing.
Occasional 1 star.
What about guys that say dudes that love PvP or dudes that love PvE and don't want to deal with it? For guys that love PvP, will you be able to hire a shipping, like a very specific shipping ship, and then have an NPC to do that while you're fighting and killing people and pirating or whatever you're doing, so you can actually get resources to upgrade your ship? Because that's not really your favorite part of the game, but whatever. I'm just saying,
Well, I think you could if you wanted to do the micromanagement, but you should be able to earn money as a mercenary, fighting, dogfighting, being a pirate. That definitely is a way to earn money. It's just a higher risk way. So
an interesting thing to twist in though, to have those ships. You call on something like that, you pay for it. It goes out there. It's an NPC-driven craft. It's for that, which gives the pirates something to do as well.
like a cartel.
No. We're allowing you to do that. The system works with all that stuff.
Okay.
So we're allowing. I mean, basically, we simulate the whole universe with NPCs, and all that happens when a player is playing is they basically are kicking an NPC out of one of the slots. So they all go about their life. Essentially, it's all economy driven, but the factory triggers missions to bring raw materials into it, which are picked up by, say, the Merchants Guild on another planet. Would be like, okay, here's a mission to get 10 tons of alloy to go to this other planet, and then an NPC player will take it, or a real player will take it. A real player can take it. If no real player takes it, NPC grabs it. So all these things are going on in the background. So you literally should be able to log on to the game. You could be the only person at all, which probably won't happen, and you should go out there and you should see a universe happening. So going back and forth.
So Chris, one of the things on the note of the economy that they were wondering about is the crafting system, because I think the economy plays into that, the ability to own a factory and all that. So they were wondering what role the crafting system will play in Star Citizen.
Factory minigame.
Well, so I mean, there's several. One level is going to be what we talked about on the vehicle items, where you'll be able to, tune the vehicle items. So think of them like PC components, like a GPU or a CPU, where you can overclock them.
Mhm.
So every component you have has a potential beyond its base level, and we sort of randomly bake that in when we create the item and put it into the persistent universe. But obviously, when you start to overclock, you don't know where its threshold is going to be. Maybe it can be 20% more, maybe it can be 30% more. But the thing is, if you push it too far, you can damage or destroy the unit. So I think there will be people that will basically be getting equipment and like essentially
Professional tweakers.
and then they'll be selling on like, okay, I've got a ship, I configured it, everything's plus 20 or per 30, but they sell that ship for like 3 times as much as the stock ship would cost, which is kind of what happens in that situation.
Mhm.
So that's one level. And then I guess the other level is just kind of like what you do on a factory. It's a base. It's kind of like not SimCity level, but it's kind of along those lines where you sort of you're in charge of your business. So you got to make sure the raw materials are in. You got to make sure you're not making too much stuff. That you're selling it. If you're doing really well, you got greater the demand and supply, then you probably want to hire more people. You want to buy some more machinery so you can make it all.
Mhm.
And the quality of the machinery affects like the items you're making.
And somebody's got to make that machinery to make the item.
Yeah. So it's all an ecosystem. Yeah.
So I apologize to the chat roll if this is way off the topic economy, if that's what everyone's on. But before we get too far away, I forget, we were talking about PvP earlier, and the word stats popped out of your mouth. In some environments, people consider it to be all that matters, and some people think that it's absolute living cancer just to go ahead and poison the well. But kill-death ratios and the way that some people track victories versus losses and the weird cultures that grow around it, how do you feel that sort of thing is going to be addressed in the back end in Star Citizen, and would you like me to maybe take that question back while you think about it?
No, I mean, so I kind of want I think I had that thing that was, death of a spaceman. So kind of like the idea isn't so much that everything's boiled down into sort of like kill-death ratios that are kind of artificial. I kind of want it to be along the lines of, I definitely think I would like to know that this pilot I'm going up against has got like 52 confirmed kills. And I can sort of tell that pilot, but your character's finite. You're going to lose your character at some point.
Right.
But, that guy could be like, he's got a robotic eye and a robotic arm and some scars. And he's essentially had a few deaths along the way. Or he's like, completely pristine and he's got 52 kills. You're like, this guy hasn't, he's basically, he's not being,
It's like Archer.
But I think I want it in universe that way. So I don't really want it to be in the live where like you just go to a leader ladder. We're going to have some in the dogfighting alpha just because we don't have any persistent universe. So basically that is really just about head-to-head stuff. And I think we'll support some of it in a sort of more kind of separate from the persistent universe where there's like competition, like sim competition, and people can go against each other.
Right.
But generally in the main persistent universe, all you'll probably know is how many sort of confirmed kills the pilot you're up against, and if you get to see what his avatar looks like, you'll have an idea of like maybe how many times he's come close to death.
I think that's perfect.
So,
We get like titles like
really?
saying, all right, this guy's got 50
Okay.
confirmed kills. He is
Okay.
a dogfighting
Fight
ace, dogfighting ace, green eyed devil or something, like, you know what I mean? Like something like that.
I think well definitely in the
Enjoy dinner.
is this you getting me a cup of tea? Oh, look at that.
You're looking tired.
Am I looking tired?
No, I don't know. You just look like you were up till 3 or 4.
Well, the only problem with 24-hour live streams is that
You're
preparing everything for the 24-hour live stream requires a lot of work, and everyone, and then I always have to, and of course I'm the guy that's like has to say yes, no, change this, and of course everything's coming in last minute.
So everyone's calling you like, it's okay.
Well, I'm just sitting there going, okay, when's this showing up? All right.
So it's our 24 hours, your 72 hour.
Well, I know I got a little bit of sleep. I got like whatever it was, 4 hours, but that's fine. So I think if we were back on the title thing, I would say that you definitely get titles in the combat. Like if you're part of the military, you'll definitely get like the ace titles and stuff. And I haven't made my mind up in the actual game itself. I mean, I want everything to be like in fiction of the world, right? So I don't want anything artificial. I don't want you to sort of like feel like it's gamey. So if it is a competition or a game, it's in the fiction of the game. So like that's why we have the Murray Cup racing. It's like people race, but it's like actual series of races in the game, and we would probably even try and like do, we would televise it inside the game, so we would actually have it done and people could watch broadcasted in like space bars around the rest of the game and like make it a proper like in fiction game event.
And
That
on them?
sounds awesome.
There's people that live for score, so you gotta have that element in there.
Well, we're definitely, like I said, you're going to track how many kills you've got. I'm just talking about whether like we have some kind of like, I don't want a sort of Xbox reward artificial system that's completely
Achievements.
the achievements that's disconnected from the game. So I want to have it sort of in the fiction. So I am for it. I'm just for it where it makes holistic sense to the universe. And I also, it's the same thing, like the achievements for me is like I want you to like get trophies and stuff for doing things and getting things, but they're more like, you fought off a Vandal warlord and now you've got like his blade, and his blade is sitting in your like apartment or in your hangar or something as your trophy versus like some little silly icon trophy. So,
Achieve flash.
Yeah.
That gets up something.
Vandal
too.
knife.
Player housing.
When you guys said like, the updates like every week or every couple weeks, whatever.
did you check on the? Sorry.
What's up?
Live stream is up.
It's Oolong.
Did you spike
Yeah,
it?
there's a couple.
Oolong
questions here.
team.
Or Darjingling or something.
Oh.
I also made it darker than I think you make it. Are you gonna spit it out now?
It's a little
I mean, it's strong. I make it strong. No, I thought, which milk you use?
The
Whiskey.
milk in the fridge, the
Bad
organic
date
milk.
on it?
The one that's like the 23rd?
Yeah, I smelled it.
Yeah.
Kind of cheesy. it's okay.
Oh my god.
Did you strain it?
I drank some of it earlier. Yeah.
Put it through. I'm still
Okay.
kicking.
I could just taste the sour taste now. So.
Oh.
Do we have any cool chat roll questions piling up?
Yeah, there's one of the good questions. Dark Uncle had a question regarding whether when a player when a pirating, another player can offer to take jettison cargo or requested cash amount to not attack the trader. How will PvP this type be managed so players do not rock up and pirates, I assume, just don't rock up and blow up a trader away without any warning or offer. So I guess kind of the question is like, is there any kind of like quick communication plan? So maybe you are popped into the same area of space with a pirate, and that pirate is just going to start engaging you, and you're like, wait, I have something you might want, but you won't get it if you blow me up. Is there an easy way to instigate that kind of communication? Is it going to be voice chat or
Well, no, you'll definitely be able to. I mean, I don't think anyone's going to be able to pop up and instantly blow someone up. I mean, you've got to like
just the beginning of the engagement?
well, yeah, but I mean, we're not. I mean, if they start shooting, I mean, there are going to be some players that'll just start shooting.
What if you're a
Yeah.
glass?
Right.
What if you're like a glass?
But you'll be
cannon
able to
still?
say, hey, I'll give you my cargo, I'll surrender, and they could say sure or keep shooting. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I pirate. I start shooting and then
What if you're
stop
like,
shooting when you give me what I
It's sounding
want.
like Heath now. Come on.
what if you're like a glass cannon stealth build? Like you said earlier in the stream, I remember before I came down, you said, you won't be invisible, but you'll be like to the instruments, you won't be targeted. So you can come up behind them and all of a sudden you're there and you just, all the stuff, all your slots are just weaponry. That's it. And you're just boom, you are just ganking people. That's your whole thing. What about that?
Well, I think it's going to be hard to have a ship that you can have that level of weaponry and also be stealth, because that level of weaponry draws a huge amount of power. So you just got to you basically have to make a decision in how you configure your ship, and whether you want to be more stealthy, which means you can't have as powerful weapons and you can't have as powerful as shields, or you want to be a tank. And if you're a tank, there's no chance you're going to be stealthy. So none of the ships are built in such a way that you'll be able to just basically load all that stuff onto it, and you're gonna have a trade-off, because even on a really big ship they'll have a lot of slots. Like basically what happens on a big ship is they just draw a lot more power, and the weapons are bigger, which draw more power. So even with the more slots, you're taking those slots up in cooling those weapons, or hiding, or dissipating the heat or the electromagnetic signature.
Is there like power supplies? Like say, like I just built a rig, right? Like, oh, I got an 800 watt, but I want to put a GTX Titan in there. I'm gonna give myself 1,000 watt.
Yeah, totally.
Like someone
That's
else?
exactly the design.
It's the engine.
Bitch.
So the engine, the power plants, your
So perfect.
power plants, your PSC. You have we have power plants. You'll have batteries that you can hook up that can like be basically capacitors for the energy. So when you can you have that in the chain with a gun, Even though you've drawn the engine down, you've got more reserves, you'll get more shots off. But yeah, you also say like you'll have basically things that will let you sort of overclock your systems, drive more power out of your guns, drive more power out of your power plant. But of course, that requires more power out of your guns requires more power and generates more heat, and it's not necessarily efficient. So it's just like it is on a CPU. If you start pushing it, overclocking it, it starts drawing a lot more power and generating a lot more heat proportionally to the actual performance gain you're getting.
Will there be a cooldown? Like say like, all right, I overheated my stuff.
Yep.
Like I'm shooting guys, boom, my stuff's overheated. I can't fire right now. I can't do stealth or whatever.
All of that. That's all that. It's all it's actually already in the system right now. So there's like heating and cooldown and all the rest of that stuff.
You can see a pretty good implementation of it in Mechwarrior Online. They have
You said batteries, and I instantly reminded of Starfleet battles.
your weapons will like cause heat, and you can actually overheat your system. And you can displace heat faster if you put on like basically heat sinks. But those take up upgrade slots that you could use for other things. And there's
croissant,
but I mean it's in the engine.
Croissant with my tea. Oops,
Sounds awesome to me, man.
Yeah.
I'm stoked.
On the note. Oh, do you have?
Just
I could.
lose George Weisman then that just went dead.
What was that?
No, what happened?
Well, Chris, while you're chewing, we were talking about piracy a second ago. I know that in MMOs, basically, loot drops account for a huge amount of economic inflation. It's something that everyone's always trying to deal with. And so in Star Citizen, if you blow someone up, for the most part, everything's going to be toasted.
Yep. But I mean, I would say, by the way, that's one of the biggest reasons why our economy is different. Is because if you play an RPG game, the RPG, like the whole cycle, the way it works is you go kill monsters, monsters do loot drop, that gives you better items or money, things you can trade and get money to level up, and you also level up the stuff. But you're basically feeding a huge amount of, these monsters didn't go and earn the money to buy those weapons that they were running around in. So you're basically just putting a lot of money into the system. Whereas that's the whole idea of simulating the economy and everything that's going on, is that the NPCs that you see running around with goods and doing everything, it's part of the economic system. And so if you come across and take out a merchant with a bunch of alloy on it or something, or another item that you can go and sell somewhere else, that was manufactured somewhere and paid for somewhere. It's in the system. So it's not like we're just printing money.
Which brings me to what I was curious about with pricing. Because if I run into you and you're carrying alloy, I can put you in a situation where if you don't drop half of it, your day's going to go real bad. If I run into an NPC, how am I going to be able to manage that same encounter? How am I going to be able to tell an NPC transport, I need to have your cargo or your day's going to go really south? And how does that feed into the idea of, basically just feeding me loot?
Well,
I know you just said that everything's manufactured, but I guess to focus on something, how
Well,
can
the-
I
the NP-
communicate
the NPC
piracy with an NPC?
well, yeah. Well, you have the same option. If you come up to them, you start shooting them, and you're one of the communications options will be, give me your stuff.
So I'll have that
So
option.
kind of
Right.
like
Shoot.
the Borg in Star Trek, you hit them up and you hail them and you say, hey, either you're coming with us or you're going down, and that's pretty much it. And we could do a deal or you get smoked.
Yeah, and the NPCs will, depending on what their faction is. There's a whole bunch of different ratings. They'll say, okay, here you are, don't kill me, or screw you, let's fight.
Perfect.
Can you join factions? Say the bandit. I want to be a traitor with the bandit. They got.
You certainly can. You'll be able to. There's a bunch of sort of predefined factions like Merchants Guild, all that sort of stuff, and you'll do that. And then we're allowing people to create their own factions that all feed into that system. So that would be sort of the big guilds and stuff. And as I saying that all of them sort of track relationships between them. This faction like this faction, they pissed off, or they align, or they in opposition to each other, and it kind of goes from there.
And that'll be kind of kept in the arc or a news feed or something. So you could go to talk to an NPC and say, hey, what's going on in the universe in that sector? Oh, well, there's a war between these guys and these guys, and be careful because that stuff's hot over there.
It sounds a lot like a system that somebody who's played Freelancer would recognize.
Well, probably.
Yeah.
Someone that was designing it in the early days was working on. I mean, basically a lot of what I want to do in Star Citizen was originally with Freelancer. The tech was a lot more primitive then, but the idea was to do the single player game, which shipped, although it was a bit nerfed for what it was going to be. And then I was going to do it sort of basically a massively online game, and that was going to have a persistent universe that had dynamic economy, and I talked about it all in 1999 when I unveiled Freelancer for the first time, and so I mean that was I mean Eve went and did that, and they did a really good job of it, but that was something that I wanted to do quite a ways before Eve, and didn't have a chance to sort of finish up. So Star Citizen's one of it's basically me doing Wing Commander the way I would do Wing Commander today, and doing Freelancer the way I would do Freelancer today, in one holistic universe that can support both of them.
With way better graphics.
Yes, with way better graphics, way better fidelity, which means way better immersion.
With an Oculus Rift.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely very immersive.
This is a question that's kind of interesting. Redbeard was curious about how turrets work. If you can extrapolate on this, do you have any? So, do turrets work where you have to counter ship movements, or does it stay focused on a point as long as it's within the turret's range of motion? So, if you're pointing a turret at something and the ship turns, is it going to turn the turret as well, or is it going to stay focused on that point? Well, not necessarily auto aim, but kind of like bound, like.
Well, I mean, I guess it depends. It depends on what kind of turret you're talking about. I mean, if it's a manned turret and you're manning it, it's where you're pointing it. So if the ship starts going to the right, you better be turning your turret to keep your target and your thing. It's not going to auto for you. If if it's you can gangs like in some of the ships. Some of them are like unmanned turrets, which are kind of what the class 2 hard points are. Or even if, in a constellation, it's just you can be able to sort of take over the turrets, which would then become unmanned, but then they'll all gang to where you're looking. So generally in sort of articulated turrets, if I'm a pilot and I have a couple of those on my ship, it's where I'm looking. So like if you were flying, you had an Oculus Rift, so actually a really good example for this, but you could do it with a gamepad. One is your look, one is your
So it's like the
stick.
Apache thing where you look.
Absolutely, yeah, 100%. That's exactly the design. That's what the Hornet's set for. So I actually think there's some things that we're going to do that we haven't demoed, and the HUD and the dogfighting. I think it's going to be, people were freaking out by that EVA little thing they did in Unity for 2 or 3 weeks, just because you had this and you were doing the missile. So that's compared to what the Star Citizen thing's going to be. It's going to be sort of a whole different level, but the immersion of that's going to be pretty awesome because literally that's it's your your ability to sort of track and keep your targets as a pilot is really important. And so something like an Oculus Rift actually in a first person shooter like a Call of Duty is actually a bit weird because you're running around but you got a Rift and you're here with a gamepad. Whereas if you're got a joystick and you got a Rift on, I mean that's exactly the experience being in a pilot, being a fighter pilot. You're literally sitting in a cockpit with a joystick. So it's probably going to be, I think, probably one of the most immersive experiences, which is why I think people really dug the EVA demo they did because it sort of feels very natural. Because then you're like, okay, there it is, and just click, target, so you can paint people and shoot, and it should be pretty cool.
Okay, so Chris, real quick. We are approaching the video hour.
Yep.
And so we want to do a quick giveaway before we go into the video.
Okay.
Is that cool? You want to come hit the green button?
I hit the green button. What happens on the green button?
That's what rolls the dice.
My house.
Where's the dice?
Rolls the dice and picks who wins.
Okay. All right. Hang on a sec.
All right. After your croissant.
Because I know there's a system that has a racetrack.
All right. Here you go.
Our people are going to be able to
Roll the dice. Here we go.
Stress test.
It's not following. What does that mean?
That means they're not a subscriber to the channel.
Okay, stress test.
Are you there? If you're there, message us. Stress test.
Or your friends will tell you later that you missed it.
Stress test.
I actually left mine on and logged in.
Going once.
Paradox Dragon.
Going twice. No messages.
roll, it's like, it's a literally a roll.
Boom. Let's roll again.
So what? We got 4,000 people following us. Why is this?
Oh, there it is. Okay, you want a processor, dude. Don't tell me what.
Type say he's wanting a processor.
What kind of processor you got?
Well,
This
is the new. It's the new AMD ones they just released.
Oh,
What?
Those things are beast.
Nice.
Dude, you just got a behemoth right there.
It's AMD's Haswell response.
Wow, so much spam in chat. Ban that Tianeshi guy. Tianshi. It's just spamming.
And that's with the bot in there.
Oh.
Yeah, this is the
Sure.
66K.
Apparently chat moderators will step up.
All right, I think it's time for us to roll out to the video here. Show off Dan Tracy's star
AMD
map.
chips, huh?
Do you want to intro, preface this at all?
AMD is
Sure.
they're making a comeback. We're seeing the GPU wars begin.
That's what I meant to ask
Do you
you.
want to put
The
it up here?
7990?
Yeah.
Games optimize themselves for
it's
certain
just
graphics
control
cards,
that.
right? Whether they're
Nvidia,
Nvidia
Nvidia's
or
card
AMD or
Let's-
whatever.
Chris, do we
they're
have
doing.
the,
We like both, so we have both. So like I go out of my way, like half our machines are AMD, half our machines are Nvidia. They've both been very nice, giving us lots of free video cards, so we love them both.
You run those Titans?
Yes, we have Titan 690s. Basically, no one has a slow card here because.
That'd be a bad
Chris,
day
do we
at
want to
work.
put the,
but
The video up here.
but no, they both doing great stuff. So
pull up the Twitch feed? So we
well, it's the Twitch feed right for the video.
Yeah. Just-
All right, so it's
Open the bay doors out.
okay. So that's that.
Day
Of course,
complete. We're back.
that'd be cool. Hey Jordan,
Hey, Chris, how you doing, man?
pretty good. You have video? Or are you just on? Are you just on audio?
I'm audio only.
All right. Well, we don't get to see your pretty face.
No, that's you got to pay extra for that.
Okay. So hey, thanks for joining. Just so everyone just finish up on what was running before. So everyone, I don't think we prefaced it, but what you saw was a sort of R&D prototype by Dan Tracy. He's our lead technical designer. He was at Crytek for about 4 years before joining us, so he's actually a pro with the engine. And we just sort of prototyping a 3D map navigation stuff. So that was all designer art. It actually wasn't finished proper art from our art side, and that was all prototype sort of inside the editor that we use, and wasn't so that didn't actually have any custom coding. So that's kind of sort of we're prototyping it, and then we'll have several versions of that kind of 3D immersive map, bigger one like if you're in a big ship like a Corvette or something like that, or you can go to a sort of station, and then we'll have smaller versions that will be like come out of a handheld device, or kind of like if you've seen Iron Man, where like Tony Stark's got his light table, hollow table, where stuff comes over it. So anyway, that'll be on the website, so you can check it out. But we got Jordan Weisman. So sorry it took us a while to get this thing connected. I guess we had some issues. So I think Sandy told you we're running a 24-hour live stream, sort of in celebration of the live stream that we did at the end of our campaign last year. for the launch of our new website, which is basically going to be the platform that the game will launch from, and our community, and it has all the sort of services, and it's basically the bones of what will grow and be built on for the game and the community, and the full thing that we do for the proper game. And so it's kind of fun, has a lot of stuff, and we're doing some reveals and showing some stuff, and then having some talk sessions with you, had Brian Fargo before, had Richard Garriott, and thought it would be fun for my compatriots out there that have crowdfunded and done great stuff.
I thought with that previous list,
what's that?
I said with that list, I thought it was just a bunch of old fogey game designers. I mean,
Well, I was a young punk now. I'm sort of, I guess I'm an old fogey, or not quite an old fogey.
I don't think we can call you a young punk anymore, though.
No, I was in the early days, though. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember when I first met you, man. You were totally wet behind the ears.
I was. Well, you were doing FASA stuff in. I remember the BattleTech centers and everything, which was pretty awesome.
Yeah, back in the day.
So anyway, Shadowrun returns. I think you're getting pretty close to it coming out, right?
We are July 25th.
So you excited?
We are totally stoked and totally exhausted, as you know the story. But yeah, no, it's been a great wild ride. Just over a year of dev. Studio's grown a lot during it, and very excited about the game and about the engine and the editor. So that not only are we releasing, the campaign story, but that is only the first of what we hope to be many, many thousands of stories as people go off and use the editor to create all their own stuff.
That's pretty cool. In terms of if I wanted to go now, say one of the our community that's watching this right now, can they come in and can they pre-order? Can they back? What's the situation right now?
Yeah, on Steam, there's a pre-order available on Steam. And that'll be the distribution for PC and Mac, and then. When we release, we'll also be on tablets, but right now you can pre-order on Steam. The editor only runs on PC and Mac, not on tablets.
Right. Okay. Cool.
And one of the things we're doing that's kind of fun, very different from the way we used to do things, is that we're releasing the entire campaign in the editor format as well, so people can go and hack at it right away and change it and make it whatever they want it to be, and use it as a starting point for their own stories, or as some are going to be apt to do, show us what we should have done.
Right. And then is there a plan for continuing stories and missions that will come out?
Yeah, we're working on Berlin, which is a second campaign setting, which was also crowdfunded as one of the stretch goals from the original Kickstarter campaign. So that'll release when it comes out. We'll have whole new environments and characters and a bunch of new runs and stories, and so yeah, that's the plan. It's just keep making it a richer and richer environment for us to create in, and for the audience to create and consume in.
And then I've got my list of things that I think are pretty awesome about the whole crowdfunding and having your community involved right from the start. So on your side, what are the things that you found? Let's see, what are the things that you found the most interesting, the funnest, and then also what are the most challenging?
Well, for me, I think the initial campaign was pretty overwhelming emotionally. Because that game Shadowrun's 25 years old now, and just people reaching out, telling stories about how the different versions of the game impacted their life was really touching and really draining, because I wanted to answer that with the same kind of honest emotion that they poured out. So it was quite an emotional roller coaster, and really the whole year has been, as we've met more and more of our backers at different shows, or as some of them have come out and visited the studio. You know this story. You live with your team and you make these things, and sometimes you don't really just understand the impact they have on people. And this whole experience has really been eye-opening and very rewarding in that regard. It's also been a great input vehicle. I mean, in the old days, we'd be toiling away for years and wouldn't know how anybody was going to react to any of this. And now it's very, glass house. I mean, we're in constant communication with the audience, and they're really apprised of features we're putting in and features we're cutting and decisions we're making, and are able to voice their opinion about that. And it's really been, I think, quite energizing.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, I would say those are all the things that they're all the things that I didn't expect to come out of it. Just how energizing, how invigorating it is to have that direct connection with the community and the feedback, because you know that you're making something that people care about, and it's really amazing if you're someone that likes to create stuff, how much that matters to you, and how much you realize that in the old method where you were basically dealing with middlemen that were like essentially saying, well, I think there's a bunch of people that will buy your game, so I'll finance it for you. That you sort of you were missing that oxygen, so to speak, that makes you realize all the hard work it does to make a good game is worthwhile.
Absolutely, and I think that's why. I mean, it's kind of, we had back in the paper game days, FASA and stuff, you had a little bit more of that because it was the conventions and all that kind of stuff was more immediate FaceTime with the audiences. But there's no question, as we got into giant video games, you really lose that or lost it previously. And it's to me, it's just really exciting to get that feedback, and also sometimes it's quite surprising and quite generous. I mean, like even during our Kickstarter, when one of the stretch goals we had was some content that would be exclusive to Kickstarter backers, and the audience said, no, we really don't want that. We want this game to be successful. So anything you make, we want you to give to everybody. And that was just cool, to see that they were really behind the project, not for what they could get out of it, but what the whole Shadowrun fandom and hopefully increasing Shadowrun fandom could get out of it.
Well, no, I think that's definitely a big part. Like for me, I certainly know with our community, they're as invested in making sure that it's a success as myself or the team are, because for them there's as you can see, there's a few people in here that are from the community. I think it's partly because it's a game, it's a universe they want to be in for a while, and they want to make sure that it's around. And they want to make sure that it's pure. So they're all pretty invested in, hey, let's make that the case, and let me try and get some friends into it. So you don't have to take the dollars from the publisher or the dollars from the VC. You can make a pure game instead. And that's actually great. I mean, we don't really do any marketing on our side. It's all either talking to the press or essentially the community itself, like going out there and actively finding new members to come in and join the community, which obviously brings more money in, which allows us to make a bigger, better game.
Well, and that's kind of, as we move towards launch here, I mean, that's the biggest thing that our backers and fans and are really starting to help with, is getting the word out for the product as it goes to market, right? Because as you well know, for this to be a venture that can keep going and we can keep adding to the world and growing it, it needs to reach a lot more people than have already pre-bought, right? It's got to get out to a much wider audience at launch, and that communications here at the as we approach launch is really important, and we're excited about what the backers are doing, and keep encouraging them to do more, get the word out for a launch date on the 25th.
Very cool. So 25th of July, right?
That's it.
I'll have to, because Steam pre-order. So and what's next? Is there a new project coming down the pipe?
We are well, as I say, we got a lot of work that we want to keep doing on Shadowrun. We've got Berlin, we've got localization, we've got the tablets to make sure we get out, and then the bringing it over to other operating systems. But we are starting to work on something that we're going to bring out to Kickstarter in early August. We're going to start talking about that a little later in July. Not quite ready to take the wraps off it yet, but we got something that's pretty fun. That's pretty different. It's a harebrained scheme, as appropriate to the name.
All right. Well, we'll give us the heads up, and we'll give the word on our site and help out in any small, tiny way we can.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm gonna, I think we're gonna get together in LA in a week or so, and I'll show it to you.
Yep, no, definitely. No, I'm a big, I mean, I'm a big fan of all this old fogies. Or what is the ACL or something?
Oh, I don't know.
It's just a lot of,
Uh,
it's just a lot of people
Dudes,
in this.
but-
girls, yeah.
I'm a Jordan's on, by the way.
Hi, Jordan.
Hey, how are you? Good to see you, Sandy.
Yeah.
So no, I'm a big fan of everyone that's sort of in the crowdfunding ecosphere to basically mutually support, because I don't really think there's much competition between us, because and we're pretty small compared to obviously the big publishers. So I think it's a smart thing for us all to support and encourage each other and let our communities know about each other, because I think from the way I look at it, it's sort of keeping a certain part of gaming alive that had gone away for a while, which I kind of missed, and that's kind of why I came back to do Star Citizen. And I think maybe it's I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think it's probably why you went and did Shadowrun, and Brian wanted to do Wasteland, and Tim wanted to go and do Double Fight Adventure, which is now Broken Age. It's just the ability to make a game that you love to make and have fun that, for whatever reason in today's world, isn't deemed a sure thing by a big publisher, because they want to sell 5 million units plus.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it's you've been on both sides of this fence, both in Hollywood and on the game side, and unfortunately, there's more similarities now than there used to be, and both fall into the same traps where you've got to be these giant blockbusters to get funding, which tends to really narrow the kinds of games and movies that can get made. But there's significant audiences for the kinds of games, for a much wider spectrum of games, and we just needed a way to fund them in a unique way, and I think crowdfunding has really become the answer to that.
Well, it does it. I mean, it does it. And the other thing that's really interesting is that under the model that you go direct to the people that are going to buy the game anyway, that really love it. So that's the community that we have, the community you have. You actually don't need to sell. I don't know whether sell is the right word, but you don't need as many people as you do in the big publishing model. Because in the big publishing model, there's all these people along the way that take a cut of the money that comes in. So in the crowdfunding model right now, I mean, we're capturing 97% of the dollar, whereas in the old publishing model, maybe it was 20-25%. If you had the best royalty deal in the business, it would be 30%. So at that point, you basically, you only need to sell a third the copies to do exactly the same business you do in the traditional publishing model. Well, that means, you suddenly can have a business that you can only sell 200,000 or 300,000 copies and it's viable, whereas in the big publishing business, you've got to be in the millions. And and that makes a big difference, because then it allows you to do some games that maybe, they don't have $5 million, but they've got 5 million, an audience of 5 million, but maybe there's 500,000 or 1 million people that love playing that game. And in the old days, that was considered a massive audience. Now it's considered a failure. And that's kind of sad.
It is. I totally agree. And for me, I've always loved, kind of this size studio. For me, the intimacy of a sub 50 person studio is great. And that's why I keep going back to the garage every time I start a new company. Get back with a small number of people that are really, really focused and dedicated, and really excited about bringing something new to the world. And to me, those are the most exciting times. When they get up into the hundreds of people, it's hard to keep that energy as pure as it is.
I know. Both me and you had our Microsoft time, so. Not like all the Microsoft guys were great. I mean, no, I actually don't, like, on a personal basis. I'm quite friendly, close even with a bunch of the EA senior staff executives, because they were all there when I was there. And even on the Microsoft style, it's nothing to do with the individuals. It's just whenever you're a big organization, it's just a different beast. It's a different social dynamic. There's a lot of other things at play, and you lose that sense of, like what you're talking about, where you have a small team, and like right now it's great. There is all Cloud Imperium's doing is making Star Citizen, and everyone's focused on it. And relatively to a AAA team, we're actually pretty small, but I think we're achieving kind of the same volume of output because we don't have all this extra noise and stuff that we have to deal with.
Yeah, and the ability to just laser focus is priceless. I mean, when I was at Microsoft and creative director for all of the whole category, right? I mean, flying around the world with talking to dozens and dozens of teams. In one hand, it's the best job in the world, right? I mean, you're creative director for a platform. On the other hand, it's like you couldn't. It was very hard to focus on something that you could put your own creative energy in and build, and so that's the benefit of small, focused teams.
Yep. No, definitely. I mean, we quite like it. I mean, that's kind of one of the reasons why on the setup we have here, we sort of split it around. So we have Austin, we have LA, and we're doing some work up in Montreal because I didn't actually want to have any one of the locations too big because I just sort of feel like you lose that tight, close team dynamic when it gets too big. It's almost like, once it gets so big that you can't take everyone out to lunch kind of thing, it sort of becomes more difficult.
Yeah, I agree.
Very cool. So I don't know if I wonder if have we asked our chat roll? I'm sure we've got a few Shadowrun backers.
Shadowrun back.
I wonder if we have any crazy questions we can ask Jordan. Put him on the spot.
Oh, great.
You're just coming through now.
What's that?
You're just coming through now, so they'll
okay. It'll be we're on a delay because we're streaming through Twitch.
Yep, it's just getting here now.
While we're waiting for them, I like the metric of a company that's just large enough to take out to lunch is probably about the right size. Should probably try to coin that one.
Oh, here's a question: will Shadowrun be presented at Gamescom in Germany?
No, because we didn't leave ourselves enough money to buy an airplane ticket. We put it all on the screen.
Flowers.
Someone asked, Jordan, what's next for Crimson Skies?
Well, I'd love to do Crimson Skies. And we are talking to Microsoft. We'll see if we can work something out with them. As Chris well knows, you sell companies and with them go properties. So it's owned lock, stock, and barrel by Microsoft. But we're talking to them, and if we work something out, I'd love to do it. It's one of my 3 favorite universes.
I think the one they didn't because they did a deal with you on Mechwarrior, right? So.
Yeah, so we were able to work on put Mechwarrior together, which resulted in Mechwarrior Online, and we were able to put together a deal on Shadowrun. So that's where our effort here is on Shadowrun, and we're talking about Crimson. We'll see where that goes.
Okay. Well, that would be cool. That'd be very cool.
Yeah, it's a fun universe.
What else we got? No?
Is it just the chat rolls being the chat roll?
Yeah, the chat roll's being the chat roll.
Okay. No, we got it because we've got on our site. We've got like a live chat roll, and they can get occasionally fairly punchy. I think they're asking you the difference. What was it? What would win in a battle between a taco or a grilled cheese?
Between a taco and a grilled cheese?
Yeah.
It's been a topic of much debate.
Yeah. I'm not necessarily saying the quality of the questions is great.
Right. It's a 24-hour thing. How long can they keep up great questions over 24 hours? Well, I think the cheese would have kind of the capture factor, right? You could slow the opponent down with the melted cheese, but I think the diversity of projectiles from the taco would win.
All right, well, that's an outstanding answer.
Outstanding.
And Toast says grilled cheese.
So, Chris, what we should get back to is doing a Renegade Legion game one day.
I know. I think people don't. I guess people don't realize, but actually, when I was doing originally I was going to do Wing Commander, and I was doing research, and originally Wing Commander wasn't going to be what it ended up being, which was sort of first-person 3D. It was going to be sort of top-down and bigger ship, more capital ship combat, and I developed this routine that basically could take a sprite and rotate it in any angle and could scale it. And I was doing a bunch of research, and I was sort of like looking at stuff, reading, I always get all the, in the old days especially, I would get all the pen and paper games, so Traveller, which I used to play, and then there was all the Faza Renegade Legion stuff, which was super cool. And I think at some point I was starting to think, I just think it's more fun flying space fighters than it is flying big capital ships. And Renegade Legion was one of the, inspirations behind that, besides obviously things like Star Wars and Battlestar Galactica. And I actually had all the Renegade Legion things, and I think at some point I was chatting to you about doing a Renegade Legion game many years.
Yeah. Many years ago. Yeah, I think and SSI had just bought the rights like a month or two before you called me. Yeah.
No, and and Renegade Legion sort of got a slightly. It's based on the Roman Empire essentially. So as is Star Citizen is sort of modeled after the decline of the Roman Empire. The UEE we have is sort of a model of the proxies. The Roman Empire in decline before it splits into the East and West empires. So it's a very cool furtive area to set. I always like taking a historical precedent and sort of modeling a sort of future world or event that's inspired by sort of past history.
Yeah, so you and I are the same there. All of my titles, from Crimson to BattleTech to Shadowrun are all start as history and move from there.
Yeah, no, definitely. Obviously, Wing Commander was World War II in the Pacific, and Kilrathi are the Imperial Japanese, and Federation's the U.S. Navy.
Here's a decent question.
Okay, a decent question.
In BattleTech, what is your favorite mech?
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's like which is your favorite child? You're my favorite middle child. Anyway,
I won't admit it.
I guess I.
How about one from each weight class?
Well, I was gonna say the one. I think the ones that hold a special place for me. There's thousands of them, but the ones that probably hold the most special place for me are the ones that we developed originally for the clans, Mad Cat and that ilk, Loki, Mad Cat, bunch of others, and that because they were the first that we kind of realized in 3D and brought to life on screen. So we had to solve all sorts of interesting problems back in those days about how to be able to do animated 3D objects before there was such thing as 3D. So I think the problem solving made the construction of those more interesting to me than the earlier ones where we could just draw anything on a piece of paper and assume it worked.
Hang on, Jordan. We seem to be losing you. You're breaking up.
Everything I'm sure he's saying right now.
Yeah.
Can you still hear us? It's probably the best part.
Did we lose you?
You missed all that brilliant stuff.
I think we lost
It
you.
can
man.
never be reproduced.
Yeah. We're getting an eighth of every word.
Let me just pause this.
I was saying that stuff.
Okay, we're kind of paused on the stream, so
I'm not getting internet.
you're
I'm
not
not
getting
getting
internet.
internet either. I think we just went down.
Dude,
Talking about Mechwarrior, one of the games. Oh.
You guys back up?
Oh, wait.
Hey.
Fight and stay alive.
Oh, now you're down.
You're live.
Hey everybody!
Hey,
Back on
everybody.
with some great Star Citizen fans.
And no seat for me.
No seat for you.